You have to believe in your ability. You're capable of anything. You can achieve any dream. Please don't limit yourself. Don't live your life limited. It's not all sadness and misery. Life's a challenge, but you will succeed. Take control of how you feel in every circumstance. Work on yourself daily. Your story's far from done. The best is yet to come. To achieve, you must believe. You can live out all your dreams. Persevere, you'll make it through. What you need is all in you. When you believe, you will achieve. You can live out all your dreams. It's about time you knew the truth. You got the power all in you.
Hi, everyone. I'm so glad you were all able to make it. And I'm still getting used to the technology, so I'm trying to figure out how to do it all, the sharing of everything and timing it all together. So thank you for being patient. I was just kind of trying to share a little bit of some images so you can kind of really get a feel for my story. Because, you know, I can tell you about it, but a picture is worth 1,000 words. You really can't, you know, understand unless you actually see what I was through, what I went through. So I just want to also make it clear, I'm recording this, so I hope it's okay with everybody by staying on, it's giving your consent, because I haven't figured out how to find that button that people have to click that it gives their consent to being recorded. So if you don't want to be recorded, you can put yourself on, you know, take yourself off video. So thank you again for coming, taking time out of your day. I feel so compelled to connect with those that are like-minded and that I can share my journey and help you to heal yourselves, to accomplish whatever it is that you would like to accomplish in your lives for yourselves, whether it be losing weight or finding your true love or having the relationship you want, you know, whatever it is. That's okay, Amy. I'm just going to mute you. If you can actually just mute yourself. There we go. Okay. So if anybody has any background noise, if you can just mute yourselves. So I'd like to start out by asking everyone, so who here believes that our thoughts have something to do with what happens in our lives? Okay, great. Because that is so important to understand, that our mind is so powerful, and what we can create with it is just, it's everything. And so I'd like to do a short, if it's okay with you guys, I just would like to do a short breathing exercise. I love to start out any workshops or any coaching calls or anything like that, just a very short breathing exercise, because I feel like we're all coming from all different places before the call, before we meet, and there's stress, there's obligations, there's, you know, agendas and responsibilities, and I just would like us to all like kind of clear our minds and just get to a great place, a place of really peace and a feeling of balance inside. So if you're able to get into just sit down into like a comfortable position.
Honey, I can't hear you.
Is anyone else having a problem hearing me? Okay. I'm not sure, Amy. I'm sorry. I can't. Maybe turn up your speaker.
It is. Unfortunately, somebody called.
Oh, maybe
and now it's like got it all screwed up.
Maybe go off and come back on again. That might help.
I guess I'll try that.
Okay,
Okay,
okay, great.
let me,
Okay, so if everyone would just close your eyes and then just take a nice deep breath in and hold it and just relax. Just really, there's no place else you need to be right now, nothing you need to do. Just allow your whole body to relax and then release your breath nice and slow. And then take another deep breath in and just hold it. And just know that you are exactly where you're supposed to be right now. You're exactly in your journey where you need to be in order to have all that you want. And then just release nice and slow. And take one more breath in and hold it. And just love yourself. Know that you're doing this for yourself, and give yourself a pat on the back and a hug, because you are taking care of yourself so good right now. And then just release your breath. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. How is that? Did you enjoy that? Good, good.
yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, so I want to share my story in a way that I haven't shared it before. It's just, if you have been through something like this, then you can understand. And if not, try to just imagine. So I was 52 and I was a health coach already. So I was the one putting out there to everyone to, eat right and drink your water and exercise, and, was helping people to prioritize their health. And I was, I always was a healthy person. I mean, I had some things going on with me. I had scoliosis, but I never really had any like significant illness or anything that was life-changing. And all of a sudden, I started noticing that my feet were cold, and it was unusual. It was happening a lot, like every day. And I mentioned it to my husband, and I'm like, I don't know why my feet seem to be cold all the time. And I thought maybe it's like a circulation thing. So I scheduled an appointment with I was changing doctors actually. And so I had to wait for an appointment. So while I was waiting for an appointment, I started noticing more symptoms, and I started realizing that my legs felt, and I have strong legs, I have like muscular legs. I started realizing that my legs felt stiff when I would try to walk, when I was walking around. And I remember being in Walmart once with my husband, and I felt like I couldn't walk a straight line. I was losing my balance. I was like walking different. It felt like it was taking more effort to lift up my legs. And I was like, this is so strange. I couldn't wait to go to my doctor appointment. And okay, Amy wants to come back in. I'll just let her in. Okay, after this, I'm hoping no one will come in the middle. Okay, so I wound up noticing that was happening, and I figured I'm just going to wait for my doctor appointment. And then it was progressively getting worse. And there was a point where I was standing, just talking, having a conversation, standing still. And I felt like I was about to fall, just standing still. And I was like, oh my gosh, there's definitely something wrong here. And it happened to be the very next day was my doctor appointment. And that night I was in my closet, and I was just bending down to pick something up. And when I tried to stand up, I fell. My legs weren't even strong enough to lift me up. So I was like, all right, something crazy is happening. I don't know what this is. So the next day when I went to the doctor, he had me try to walk a straight line, and he was kind of testing the strength of my legs. And then when we were in the office, he bent down to a crouched position with me. He told me to bend down while he was holding my hand, and he said, now try to stand up. I couldn't lift myself up at all. And just talking about it is going to make me emotional. So just bear with me. So he wound up saying, I'll be right back. And he left the room. And he came back a little while later and he said, I tried to call a friend of mine who's a neurologist, but he's not around. But I'm going to tell you right now, I think you need to go right to the ER. And he said, I believe you have something called Guillain-Barré, and it's a temporary, he made it a point to say it was a temporary, rare autoimmune condition, but it can get a lot worse before it gets better. And it can take some time. It might even take a year or two. And he said, you have to go straight to the ER. So I'm freaking out. My husband's freaking out. We went and grabbed some of my clothes and we went to the ER, and they diagnosed me. I mean, it was later that day, they diagnosed me. They did a lumbar puncture and an MRI and blood work. And they said, yes, it's all in line with Guillain-Barré. And so they wound up admitting me, and there are a couple of treatments that they give for that, and one of them wasn't available. There was a national shortage called IVIG, and so they said the only other thing that they can do is plasma exchange, where they put a catheter into my neck and then they transfuse all of the blood out of my body. And because all of the antibodies that are basically, it was my own antibodies that were attacking the nerves in my body and not recognizing it as my own nerves. And it wound up where they had to take all of the plasma out and then replace my plasma with synthetic plasma. And it's a process that takes 11 to 13 days, depending on how many treatments. So I was in the hospital for 2 weeks. And by the time, oh, and by the way, that same day that I was admitted, I immediately was going downhill very quickly. They labeled me a fall risk because before I was actually officially admitted, I went to use the bathroom. And when I tried to stand up from the toilet, I fell. And so because I wasn't able to stand up and I'm falling, they labeled me a fall risk. So then I had these red socks where everybody knew if they saw me that, I'm a fall risk, and I had an alarm on my bed and all this stuff. So anyway, I was there for 2 weeks, and when they sent me back home, I was a little bit stronger. I was able to walk, but within just a few days of being home, I relapsed, and I relapsed even worse. And this wound up happening. To make a long story short, I was in the hospital 6 separate times. And I basically, when I went home, I was only home for a few days. And usually when I relapsed, one time it was only 1 day. And when I relapsed, it was even worse than it was the time before that. So there was a period of time where I couldn't even stand up on my legs. My legs weren't strong enough to even hold me. My husband was carrying me to the bathroom, and we were having a hurricane at that time, and it was scary because everyone was thinking, it was going to hit us. And I'm like, I can't stay here if I can't, I'm not mobile, and it would be a burden to my family. So I wound up having to go back again. Each time I went back, it was just a nightmare. It really, I was like, why is this happening to me? There was no reason, because I couldn't, that was my main thing, is that I believe that everything that happens in our lives is happening for us, for our greater good. And I know this to be true. So the whole time that this was happening to me, it really felt like it was just a nightmare, because I lived a pretty healthy life. I don't have any family or genes in my family where people who have had this happen to them, or anything like this happen to them before. And I mean, there was really, anytime someone was asking me questions to try to figure out the cause, there was no rhyme or reason. And people were saying, well, it must mean that I have a leaky gut, because if it's autoimmune, that automatically means that it's a digestive issue. But I've never had any kind of sensitivity to foods or processing foods or anything. And I've tested myself before. As being a health coach, I was very interested to see how food affects me. I did detoxes and, elimination diets, and I never had any issues with any kind of food at all. So I was like, okay, well, I'm open to finding out whatever is the reason. I know there's a reason why this is happening to me, and I believe that it's for my own good. I'm supposed to learn a lesson from this, and I know it's going to be a blessing. I knew in my heart that this is happening for me, not to me, and that it was whatever lesson that I meant to learn from this experience is going to serve me and allow me to evolve into my greater self, that I'm supposed to be. And so all along, every time I kept being, sent back to the hospital, I'm like, I know this is happening for a reason. I'm going to find out what that reason is. And so while I was going through this, I was introduced to Dr. Joe Dispenza's work. And as soon as I heard him speak, and he was sharing about how our thoughts and our feelings create our state of being, and that causes stress if we're staying and if we're having thoughts that are creating any kind of a low vibration emotion, such as doubt or fear or worry or lack, or resentment or guilt, any of these feelings are low vibrations and they cause stress in the body. And I know for a fact that I had been living in those emotions, even though I already was feeling like very, I resonated with all of the spiritual messages, and I was, seeking them out and posting them on my page because I loved them and I believed in them. I wasn't living them. They inspired me, but I didn't incorporate them in who I was being. And I still woke up every day with the same thoughts of money problems and how am I going to pay the bills, and worrying about my kids, my adult children. I had worries about them and the decisions they were making and things like that. And so I lived in a state of worry and fear and lack. And when I heard him speak, I said, yes, that's why this happened. And it all made sense to me. So I immediately immersed myself in his work, which a lot of people do. And being that I'm a health coach and I've always been really into getting deep and figuring things out and knowing that our journey, I totally believe that we are in Earth School. This is what we're in. We're in Earth School. Each one of us was put here for a purpose, and probably many purposes, but we're all here for a reason, and it's to grow, it's to learn lessons that we're meant to learn, and to grow into our greatest potential, grow into our greatness, and that we all have the divine inside of us. And it's really finding that. It's finding the divine that's inside of us and learning who we're supposed to be, and learning the lessons that are going to help bring us to who we're meant to be. So I truly believe that everything that happens in our lives is meant as a wake-up call, as a way of, it's a gift. And what happened to me, I know now, really, truly was a gift, because it allowed me to grow into who I'm meant to be. And then the second part of the story is that I was divinely led, and I know this in my heart, and I'm going to share with you a story that I haven't shared with anyone publicly before. So as you know, that I was Dr. Joe is my hero. I mean, he's the one who I felt was leading me out of this nightmare. And I had such a yearning to be at his advanced workshops, his live workshops. And I know that they were expensive. It was like $2,000, I believe. And, we weren't in a position to do that. And I thought that I was going to have to be at one of his advanced workshops in order to fully heal myself. And so when I was in the hospital, I was manifesting and, saying, I need to be in an advanced workshop. I don't know how I'm going to do it, how it's going to happen, but I'm not going to get involved in the house. I'm just going to make it happen. And so I totally was intent on being at one of his advanced workshops. So anyway, through my journey, after my last hospital stay, which was in December of 19, it was right at the end of the month that I was released. And then I started doing the IVIG at home in January. And that is what kept me out of the hospital. And gradually, I started feeling myself going back to who I was, going back to my normal self. And at first, when I was home and staying out of the hospital, I was still very off balance. And I still, like, I used to work out a lot and do, pretty intense workouts. And so I started trying to work out a little bit, but I couldn't really, I couldn't do any lunges or anything like that. I couldn't lift one leg and stand on one leg. And so I was just doing whatever I could do. And over time, I started noticing that I was able to do more and more. And it was just the most exciting thing in the world, because I mean, my dream was being able to do everything that I was able to do before. And so when I got to the point where I was actually able to do a lunge all the way down the way that I used to, I said, you know what? I believe that I've healed myself, and the only way I'll know is by taking myself off the IVIG. Now, I'm not recommending anybody get off your medications at all. I am not saying that. I'm saying that this is personally what I felt to be true about myself. I felt this inner knowledge that I healed myself. And so because of that, and it wasn't immediate, it was a few months later, I wound up saying to my doctor, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't feel like I need it. And so he evaluated me and he said, in fact, I just posted this memory. It was a year ago, I think 2 days ago, I shared the memory, and it was me crying, saying, these are tears of joy. I had just left the doctor's office, and he basically just said to me, I don't see any clinical reason why you need to continue to do your treatments. And I was just beyond elated. So I haven't done any of the treatments since. I'm not on any medications or anything like that. And I wound up finding out that Dr. Joe was going to be coming nearby in my area. So this was in November of 20. And I thought, oh, this is my chance, because I can't afford to go flying it all around the world to go see him, or the accommodations, the hotel and all of that. And I said, so I'm going to apply for a scholarship, even though I'm sure they get so many people applying. And I said, I'm just going to do it. And I figured this is my one chance, because he's going to be here in Marco Island. And it turns out that I didn't get into the Marco Island. Then I found out they were going to have another Marco Island. I'm like, oh, that's my chance. This is going to happen. I didn't get into that one either. I'm like, okay, well, I guess this isn't the time. And within a couple of months, I wound up finding out that they just added another location here in Florida, in Orlando. And so then I reached out to the person who was asking me questions about the scholarship. And I said, is there any chance I could go to this one? And it was a person who said, you know what? I want to do an interview with you. Can you get on Zoom for an interview? And I said, sure, of course. So I get on Zoom, and she said, there was something about when I was looking through all, because they get so many applications every day. She said, there was something about when I saw your picture, I something inside of me said, I need to meet this girl. I need to connect with her and see what she's all about. So during the Zoom call, she asked me questions. And shortly after that, she messaged me and she said, we're going to give you a full scholarship to the Orlando event. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I couldn't believe this was happening. And then shortly after that, I got an email saying that they're going to be taking applications for people who want to be in the research for this event. And they're only accepting 30 people. And they were having 1,150 people. I didn't know that at the time, but I found out afterwards. And it turns out that I got chosen for the research too. And I felt like, all right, this is definitely, there's something going on here beyond just me. There's something more. Like, I'm definitely connected to the divine. And I felt like this is a totally divinely led experience. So before I left, I said to my husband, I feel like something amazing is going to be happening at this event. I just feel it in my soul. And I was right. So I get there, and I'm telling you, every day of that event, there was something. There was like this divine energy all around me. And the first day, because I'm in the research now, so I get brain mapped. We all took turns getting brain mapped, and we had people reading our brain waves during the meditations. So during my first turn getting brain mapped, the person behind me who was reading my brain waves, all of a sudden I hear sobbing during the meditation. So my eyes are closed and it's dark and everyone's quiet. And I hear sobbing, like real sobbing behind me. And I'm thinking, all right, what's going on? Is this having to do with me? And I'm like thinking, it's not all about you. He's probably having his own experience, right? And so the meditation's over and he comes over to me and he goes, what did you see during your meditation? Was anybody there? Did you see anything or anybody? And I was like, well, yeah. And I said, I normally don't visualize at all during meditations. Okay. So a lot of people think that in order to heal yourself, you have to have one of these amazing events during your meditations, out of body experiences, convulsions, all that. I've never had any of that. So you can heal yourself without that. Just wanted to throw that out there. And so I normally don't even visualize. And I did see a garden and I saw a flower garden. There was beautiful flowers. And my grandfather, who I love so much, my poppy, who passed away years ago, he was there with me in the garden. And I felt like a divine presence. I felt like God was with me too. And so I shared that with him and he said, he was with you. And he said, he shared with me that he has the ability to see angels and spirits ever since he had a death experience. He died for like 7 minutes at one time in his life. And he now, ever since that experience, he has the ability to see angels and spirits. And he said that he saw an angel from the other end of the room, like a real divine angel, not a spirit. And I was asking about that because I didn't know which one he meant. It was an angel with wings. He saw an angel come right up to me and go right through me. And then it went through him, who was behind him, and then the person next to him. Now the person next to him also is psychic, and she came over to me, and she didn't hear what I had said already about what I saw, and she asked me what I saw, and I said a garden, and she goes, I saw it. I was there. I saw the flower garden. She said, I saw a man there, but I don't know who he was, and it was my grandfather. I showed her a picture of him, and she said, yeah, that was him. And he was so happy. He was dancing. It was just an amazing experience. So that was the first day. I had this amazing, miraculous experience. And then after that, so I was in the research team, as you know, and the people who are in the research team who conducted are friends with Dr. Joe. And I had decided, you know what? I realized this is my opportunity to actually thank Dr. Joe by writing him a letter, because I figured I could give it to her, to the person in charge of the research, and ask her to please hand it to him. So I decided I'm going to write him a letter and finally be able to thank him, what I've been wanting to do for so long, and share with him my story. So I wrote this letter and I decided, you know what, this was the night before when I was in my hotel room, but I hadn't finished it. So during one of our breaks, I said, you know what, I'm going to, instead of going and socializing with other people, I'm just going to go outside by myself and finish my letter to Dr. Joe. So I go outside and I sat down on a bench, but there was lawn people all around me and it was really noisy. And I said, you know what, I want to go someplace where it's quiet and peaceful. So I took myself and walked far away from where everybody else was, where there was a bench that was like, kind of remote from where everything else was going on. And it was quiet. So I sat down and I finished my note. And then I decided, you know what, it's so quiet here and peaceful. I'm just going to close my eyes and meditate for a few minutes. So I do that. And then all of a sudden I hear this loud thump and I open my eyes and there's a baby bird that just fell from the sky onto the concrete right in front of the building doors. And it was just lying there. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I run over to the baby bird and I'm trying to save it. I'm like, oh, I'm going to save you. It's okay. I'm going to save you. And so I decided, you know what, maybe this is another sign from the divine that I need to show that this is going to be my first healing experience. I'm going to save this bird with my energy healing. So I close my eyes and I'm using energy healing and sending love to the bird. And then I'm petting the bird and I'm singing to the bird, whatever I could think of. And the bird starts to move. I see that it's blinking and it's breathing, but it was still lying on its side. So I like kind of moved it a little bit to try to get it on its feet. And then it was standing on its feet and it was just staying there. It wasn't moving. I was trying to get it to fly and it wasn't going anywhere. So I continued to use energy healing on it and it started moving its head a little bit. So then I realized, you know what? I have the number to the research person and she's an experienced healer. So I'm going to see if she'll come and help me because I really want to save this bird and I want to give it the best chance possible. I'm a newbie, right? So I text her and I'm like, can you please come down and help me? I told her exactly where I'm located and she did. She came down and I was so grateful. And shortly after she came down, we were doing kind of the same thing. We kind of cupped the bird with our hand, made a circle with our hands around the bird and was like sending love. And within just a couple of minutes, then she said, you know what, we really have to get going. So maybe we can come back for the bird and see how it's doing. And I didn't want to leave the bird where it was. So I didn't want someone to step on it. So I said, well, let me see if I can just relocate it so nobody will step on it. So when I went to cup the bird with my hands, it flew away. It
Wow.
flew away. And I was like crying out of joy. I was just so happy that this bird survived. And oh my gosh, it was just the most amazing experience. So we're hugging each other and crying. I'm crying. We're hugging each other. And then that experience then provoked her to say to me, Bonnie, so tell me, what's your story? Tell me about what happened to you. And that was the moment that then led to her texting Dr. Joe and saying, you have to hear this girl's story. And I sent her videos from my phone that she then sent to him. And she was like, Dr. Joe wants to meet you. And he wants to know if you would stand on stage and share your story. I mean, none of that, I didn't have that planned out. I didn't know what was going to happen when I was there. And all of it just felt like this is totally not constructed by me. Someone else, is constructing this to happen. And so I just felt like this is all meant to be. This was all meant to happen. Me being there, the whole scholarship and then the research. If I wasn't in the research, I wouldn't have been in touch with these people. I wouldn't have had the brain mapping experience. And so then I wound up very nervous because I get very nervous talking in front of people. And I was like, you know what? I'm doing this. I feel like, everything that happened to me with my whole illness and everything, it was meant for this moment. And so I'm getting up there. I don't care how many people are here and I'm sharing my story now. Of course, I was still very nervous, but I did. I got it. First I met Dr. Joe, which was, I can't even put into words because even just being in the same room with him, he has such a neuro association with my whole experience of where I was that even just being in the same room with him made me cry. And so now here I am going to meet him in person. And it was just unbelievable. And so then I went on stage and I shared my story. And the fact that now my video testimonial is on his page, on his YouTube page with all the other testimonials. I think it's like 30,000 likes. And I feel like this is why this happened to me. This is why I went through everything that I went through. All the time that I was saying, this is happening to me for a reason. What am I supposed to learn from it? It was in order to get me to where I am, to be able to, I was already a health coach and my purpose and my passion is to help others to evolve into their greatest potential and to have the greatest life and the greatest themselves, help them to be the best selves that they can possibly be and enjoy life to the fullest. And now I'm able to do that for people in this context, coming from a place of healing, because I totally believe we all need healing, not just the ones who have an illness or a condition, all of us, even the people who are healthy but would like to lose weight or would like to be in a healthy relationship or would love to attract their true love. Everybody has a story. It doesn't have to be like something that you shout out from the roofs, but everyone still has a story and has things that happened to them that affect who they are today. And when you have a challenge in your life, it's there for a reason. It's there to help you, to show you what you need to do to change some part about yourself or to learn something and to be different in order to become the person who you need to be in order to have whatever it is that you want. And so I truly, truly believe that my purpose and that I was divinely led with the illness and with this experience at Dr. Joe's event. And even today, I feel like I'm being pulled and led in order to help others, to lead others into evolving into your greatest potential and to heal yourselves. And I truly believe everybody can do it. Everybody has the divine inside of us. So that's my story. And I'm going to have do a quick question and answer because then I want to go into something else. So does anybody have any questions like about my story or anything that I shared? Amy, is that, let me see. You have a question?
I do, yeah, because as you know, my father also has Guillain-Barré. He hasn't had a flare up in years. But what is that, the IVIG that you had done? Because all they did for him was steroids and physical therapy.
Okay. Well, let me,
I don't know what that IVIG is.
okay.
And because
Okay.
it
You
can be genetic.
is.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to mute you again. Okay, so basically, I forgot to mention that my diagnosis was actually changed from Guillain-Barré, and some people refer to it as Guillaume or Guillain-Barré, Guillain-Barré, same thing. My diagnosis, after 8 weeks of relapsing, they changed the diagnosis to CIDP, which is the chronic version, where there's no cure for that. And so a lot of people are suffering from CIDP, that's chronic inflammatory demyelinating polyneuropathy, and like for the rest of their lives are in wheelchairs or walkers and dependent on the medications. And there's many forms. So IVIG is basically other people's antibodies that are, it's an antibody that is being intravenously put into your body to help you to maintain your antibodies, to fight against and to act normal, because when, autoimmune is when your antibodies aren't acting normal, they're not recognizing your own body. So it's putting others who have donated the antibodies into you. Now, there's so many other, treatments for it, but what my message is that yes, the treatments, I do believe in medication. I do believe in treatments in order to help you to function for the time being. And what I'm saying is that I believe that we are all capable of healing ourselves for the long haul so that we don't have to be reliant on them, that we can absolutely heal ourselves by going deep within ourselves and figuring out what the lessons are that we're supposed to learn, who we're supposed to become. And a lot of people don't know how to do that and maybe just don't see it. It's like when you see the sky is blue, who am I to tell you that the sky is red, right? It's like you have to be able to actually see something. And when it's within yourself, you can't always see it. And so that's what I truly believe that my gift is to help other people to see something within themselves that otherwise they wouldn't see, and to bring out what their gifts, what they're supposed to be doing, and their lessons that they're supposed to learn. So I've already helped. I mean, I've been working as a health coach for a while now, for years. And I recently got nationally board certified because I'm so passionate about really wanting to do this really fully, like really learn all there is in order to help my clients the most. And I truly believe that my gift is to help others get deep, to learn who you need to become and a different way of being in order to become that person who's capable of overcoming whatever it is that we all need to overcome to have what you want. And so I've helped people with weight loss. In fact, I have a success story that she has totally transformed. I mean, I've got many success stories, but this one stands out because she's like a completely different person now. I mean, completely different person from when I first met her. And it's so exciting for me to see people totally transform before my eyes. You know, weight was an issue and health was an issue for her. She had high cholesterol. She was worried about, she didn't want to be on her medications for the rest of her life. She wanted to get off of them. And I helped her to see things that she otherwise wasn't seeing. And now she's off her cholesterol medication. She's loving her life. She's a completely different person. She lost the weight that she wanted to lose, and she's just feeling her best that she's ever felt in her life. So that's the way, you know, that's when it comes to weight loss. But when it comes to disease, I actually have had people reach out to me since they've seen me on the testimonials on Dr. Joe's page. And someone reached out to me saying that he had been trying to find me for months, and he finally found me. And so I did have a Zoom call with him, and you know, we stayed in touch on Messenger. You know, I kind of gave him some things to focus on and to think about. And he just reached out to me recently and said that he's completely healed, 100%. He had something similar to me. He was never diagnosed because he was in South Africa and they don't have the same medical, you know, it sounds like the doctors there, they really don't have many, and they don't have specialists. So he was never diagnosed, but he had a lot of imbalance and loss of feeling with his legs. And he just messaged me saying he's 100% healed. I mean, it's just so possible for everybody. And then I had somebody else that I was working with who also had a lot of health conditions, and she was really worried constantly about her health, and she just wants to live a healthy life. A young girl who's like in her, I would say, early 20s to mid 20s. Maybe she was actually, I think she was mid 20s to late 20s. Now that I think about it, she looks really young. And she had a lot of health conditions for a long time, which was preventing her from living the life that she wanted to live and have the kind of relationship she wanted to have. So we worked together on a weekly basis, and she had some realizations, you know, during our sessions, that now she's living her life that she wants. She feels so good. She's feeling at peace, and she's just loving her life now. And she's feeling like really in alignment with who she really is, where she wasn't before. And so I love helping people transform. I just love it. It fills me up, and I can see it. I feel like that's what my gift is. I can see when I'm working with people what it is that they need to recognize, and I help them. You know, I don't tell them, but I ask questions and, you know, guide them to seeing things that they wouldn't have otherwise seen. And together as a team, you know, we wind up growing them into who they need to be to overcome whatever it is that they want to overcome. So what I'm going to do, and I'm announcing right now because I'm so excited because this is the first time I'm doing this, and I feel so in alignment with what I'm meant to do by doing this, is I'm creating a group coaching program for people who aren't able to maybe do one-on-one coaching and really still want to learn about what they need to do to heal themselves or to overcome whatever obstacles are going on in your world, keeping you not from where you want to be, keeping you from having whatever body you want, mindset you want, energy, relationships, you know, health. So, you know, this is something that I believe that when we get sick, there's something in us that is calling out to us that needs attention. So it's going to help you to focus your attention on whatever it is that is needing attention. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to be creating a group, like a membership group that people can join in addition to the group coaching. And I'm going to provide like daily inspiration, and I'm going to go live in the group once a week and share topics and things like that. And that's going to be coming soon. But the most exciting thing that I'm really wanting to share is this group coaching program. I'm naming it Overcome to Become. And It's to help you overcome whatever it is that you're meant to overcome in order to become who you're meant to be, the person who's going to be capable of healing yourself and of losing the weight and of having the relationships that you want and living your best life. And so this is the beta version of it because it's the first time I'm doing it. So I'm going to be offering it at a lower, like half the price that it's going to be. So the group coaching is going to be a 5-week coaching program where I'm going to go live and we're going to do Zoom calls once a week. And I'm going to create a group just for that group coaching program for people to share in and ask questions. And I'll be posting in there as well. And the regular price that I'm going to charge for it will be $597. And so this is the one time that I'm going to do it as the beta version, that I'm offering it at just $297 for the 5-week coaching program. And with that, whoever signs up for it within the next 24 hours, I'm going to do a free 1-hour one-on-one coaching call with you in order to figure out what it is that your specific, your unique areas are that you need to work on. And I'll incorporate that into the group coaching program. So whoever signs up right away is going to have a real benefit because you're going to be part of the design of the program. I already have a basic outline of what I'm going to be covering because there's important topics that really need to be covered. And then I'm going to weave into it any areas that specifically the people who I do the one-on-one Zoom call with really needs to work on. And then whoever is part of the group coaching program will also be automatically in the new membership group that I'm going to be creating free of charge for the time for like the first 3 months. I'm not going to, charge for that. So that'll be another value. So basically the one-on-one Zoom call, the one-on-one coaching call, that's $150 value right there. So if you take the $297 for the group coaching and you deduct the $150, you're already, you're really, and then you're going to be getting the credit for that. You're not going to have to pay for the membership group that I'm creating as well for the first 3 months. That's another figure, $30 if it's a $10 a month fee. So basically you're really getting a lot by being part of my beta group. And and then I'm definitely going to want to hear some feedback as well to find out how you guys, if there's anything that you'd like more of or less of and things like that. So I'm so excited to share all of this with you. And I really appreciate you all being here. I want to help all of you to the greatest capacity to live your best life. And I know that it's possible. I know that it is. And I feel like that is my purpose. And that's my gift of being here. So I want to thank you all for coming. And I just want to make sure that I'm not forgetting anything. I had a little bit of notes. I think that's pretty much all. I probably left out some of the details in my story, but there's so many. So if you guys have any questions or anything, I'd be happy to answer for you. So maybe for just the next, let's see, I think we've got about 9 more minutes. If anybody has any questions, you can raise your hand. And Roberta, yes. You can unmute yourself.
Hi.
Hi.
I was wondering, when you were talking about that you were understanding that these things are a gift that we're working out and that they're happening for us for the greater good.
Yes.
And that it was a blessing.
Mm-hmm.
I also listened to Eckhart Tolle and Abraham Hicks, who often talk about acceptance.
Yes.
And because that's the opposite of resistance. Resistance, what you resist, persists.
Yes.
So would you say that's a form, that acceptance? I know in my meditations, I'm always grateful for the wisdom that I'm gaining.
Yes.
So would you say that's kind of the same thing, the acceptance?
It's a part of it, for sure. Yeah. In order to really believe, because belief You know, you can tell yourself things all day long, you know, like they say, the affirmations. If you're just saying,
Yeah.
I'm a millionaire, you know, I
Right.
have $1 million,
Right.
I can do whatever I want in my life. You know, you can say those things, but do you really believe it? You know, if you don't really believe that you're capable of
Right.
having that, then it's not really doing anything. So it's so important to not only accept what's happening to you,
Mhm.
because it's, you know, it's the opposite of resistance. So you want to make sure that you're allowing whatever it is that's happening to you. It's a form of saying, well, you know what? I know that this is happening to me because of a reason that I'm meant to learn. So it's taking it kind of to another level. It's accepting
Right.
it, just saying, you know, I know this is meant to happen, but then taking it to the next step and saying, it's meant to happen. And I know it's for my greater good. I know it's in order to show me something that I'm not seeing.
Right.
You know?
Exactly.
And so, like, for example, in my story, for the longest time, I was studying all of them too, Abraham Hicks and Eckhart Tolle and all
Right.
of those, Wayne Dyer, and,
Yeah.
you know, reading the books, listening to the tapes, and I loved it all. But yet then I was still going back to being who I was. You know, I was going back to my normal my
Same
normal
energy.
program is
Yeah.
basically what it is. It's a program. And so learning the things about yourself that's going to allow you then to become somebody new. It's about becoming somebody new. So this
Yeah.
is all about a transformation. I believe that everything in our lives that isn't what we want, it's our sign, it's our, you know, message that we need to do something different about ourselves, because we're the only ones that we have control over. We can't change anybody else. We can't change, you know, situations that are out of our control. But what we can change is who we are. So that's the question, is who do you want to be? I believe that each of you has a future self that's waiting for you,
Right.
waiting for you to show up and waiting for you to become who you're meant to be. And so that's what I totally believe that I'm here to do, is to help each of you find your future selves.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. All right. Well, if anyone doesn't have any more questions, I'm just going to put it out there that I would love to have you all on board. I am going to max it out at 10 people because I want to give at least, you know, some individualized attention. And if it's too many people, then it would be very difficult to do that. So even though it is a group program, you know, of course, I also offer one-on-one coaching as well, which is obviously much more individualized. But if, you know, the group coaching program being at this beta level that I'm offering it at, you know, half the price that it normally will be, it's really an investment in yourself. And, you know, we all find ways to justify when we want to buy that $1,000 bag or, you know, $1,000 shoes or whatever it is. We spend money on ourselves when something is important to us. So your journey, your evolution, and who you become, I believe, is the most important thing to invest in. And I would love to help you get there. So if anyone's interested in doing this with me, then please reach out and I'll, you know, help you get on board. Okay, just DM me. And in the meantime, thank you guys for being part of this. Oh, Kina, do you have a question?
Let me find my microphone. Whoops.
So good to see you here. Thank you for coming, Kina.
I just wanted to ask if you wouldn't mind, whatever your process is for signing up, could you just go ahead and send out an email?
Yes,
So
great.
I would have that.
Sure, I absolutely will. Yes, thank you for saying
I
that.
think that would be helpful because I may want to think about it for a little bit, but if I had the email.
Yep.
And do you have a date that we have to?
I'm going to start it in 2 weeks. So I have to look at I haven't even gotten that far. I have to look at the calendar. But you know what? When I do have the exact date, I will send out an email and notify all of you and what the deadline is for signing up. Just know that in order to participate in the one-on-one free coaching session and, being having me kind of tailor the program to make sure it includes whatever your specific areas or needs are, it would need to be done within the next 24 hours. All right. I'm so glad you were able to come, Cass. Thank you. So great having you here. All right, everyone. I love you all. And just remember, you are capable of doing, you have the divine in you. So you are absolutely capable of healing yourselves. And it's just a matter of finding the lessons that you're meant to learn and evolving into the person you're meant to be in order to heal yourselves, in order to do whatever it is you want to do. But you can do it. All right, everyone. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day and have a wonderful weekend and stay healthy. Love you all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
Love
so
you too.
much. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Connie.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.